What's up, guys? Welcome to the Real Estate Virgins podcast, where we try to provide as much value, tactical strategies, and just staying up to date in the market. What's up, Jordan?
What's going on, everybody?
Hey,
Had our Christmas party last night.
Yeah.
It was so awesome.
Super fun. 80 plus people showed up.
Yep. And I had a lot of people that didn't show up too, so it would have been super packed.
I know.
It's kind of like, it's holidays, last minute stuff comes up. I totally get it, and it would have been really nice to see them. But the people that were there, we had a great time. We gave away a ton of prizes. We had some great conversation, and just kind of got that love in the room to help kind of give back to our clients. So
yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see all the kids get presents and just have a fun time with clients and friends and people that are in our community, you know?
Yeah, well, every year I feel like we learn something and we try to make next year better. Like we've already been discussing some ideas to make, the Christmas party 2023 even bigger and better.
Yep.
So if you want in on that action, you got to be one of our clients, baby.
Yep. You got to be one of our clients or be in our community or, most of those people have made a positive impact on our life. And so that's just our way of like, hey man, we are super thankful,
Yeah. Come have a good time on us.
Yeah. But before we get started, guys, this podcast is absolutely free. If you get a chance and you've listened to other podcasts and you see any value in this podcast, would you please give us a positive 5-star review? Just let us know what you think, or share this podcast to your friends, because we're just trying to help. That's absolutely it.
There's lots of agents out there that could probably benefit from some of the information that John and I share. And that's what the inspiration behind this was. That's why we are doing this, is because in years that have been trying, we've helped, make some of the mistakes and we try to provide some feedback so that you don't make those mistakes. And we're throwing out what's successful for us. So we're in here in the kitchen cooking up, and we just want to share the recipe with you. So if you took any value out of anything that you've heard in the previous podcast or in this one, like John said, leave us a good review. We'd much appreciate it.
Yep. So let's get into it. We just had our movers and shakers class. That went really well. We had 40-ish people, 40-ish, maybe a little less, show up to that class. And we just jam-packed with full of value. You went over follow-up. I went over customer experience. And Tessa went over, what did she go over?
What was successful for her to help her? I mean, she had like a 7-deal week or something or a month where she closed 7 deals, which is awesome. So
yeah.
What kind of tactics she was using? She shared some really valuable information, and we're going to try to get her on here so we can all talk about, go over what we discussed in the class, because there was a ton of good info.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, we are going to be throwing more classes throughout 2023. So highly suggest that you show up, because those classes are going to be super valuable. And, we always talk about the power of association. When you get into rooms with other agents that are doing a lot of deals, it's going to start rubbing off on you. So you definitely want to go to one of those shows.
Yeah, I mean,
we're one of those classes. We used to be in a metal band. So.
Yeah. Thank you guys for coming out. But yeah, I'm so thankful that I got to share, a little tidbit there, because
you killed it, man.
Yeah, dude, I think everyone killed it. It was such a good vibe. Everyone was just chilling and sharing valuable information. That's what it's all about. And you get to hear from some absolute killers in the industry right now who are killing it at our brokerage. And so if you're not the one attending, we're arming your competition. So come out. Don't miss out.
So I'm going off the cuff a little bit. We're going off the script. But what is your definition of a winning agent? Because there were so many winning agents in that class. What is your definition of a winning agent?
I would say a winning agent is someone who's willing to learn. There's nothing more winner mentality than investing in yourself. That you can be killing it. And as long as you, if that's your definition of success, is just, I've reached this milestone of sales, or I've done this and that, man, that's cool. But I love it when agents are killing it and they're still going to classes. They're still teaching. They're still finding opportunities to better themselves, to better their clients, to just make their overall experience more impactful.
I love that, man.
What about you? Do you have a definition?
I think winners, scars, they heal quickly, and they maintain enthusiasm throughout any obstacle that gets in their way.
Yeah.
And so especially first year agents, man, it's tough. It's slim pickings, and you're having to get gritty, and you're having to keep going, even though you don't see any results. But the thing is that you're going to start seeing results. It's just like a snowball effect. And I tell everybody this: you keep going, you get that first deal done, and you use that first deal as leverage for your next deal. And then you use those 2 deals as leverage for your next 4 deals. And you start getting testimonials, and you start getting, you start persevering even more, and you just keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. And that's what winners do.
And your confidence is just going to grow immensely deal to deal. Every single time that you get a closing and you do the right thing, and you're getting those testimonials and you learn those lessons, your confidence is going to grow, and you're just going to keep killing it.
Oh, we're starting this podcast off strong.
Fire.
Fire. All right. So Christmas is coming up. You excited?
Yes and no. I love the holiday season, but there's some things about just being around a major metro area that I'm not super stoked on. Everyone seems to forget how to drive. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but like the week after Halloween, it's just sucked. There was one day that Katie and I had to run to the flip that we have, and the entire way there and the entire way back, no one was going the speed limit.
Ooh.
And there was no reason. There's nothing that annoys me more than being on a highway, and there's no good reason that people shouldn't be going at least the speed limit. You know, like if there's a crash or something, obviously like that's going to affect things. When there's nothing, I'm so mad.
Yeah. You know what's my pet peeve? We're in real estate, so I want to talk about this. But when I'm showing houses and I'm like, hey guys, here's a quick tip. So when you're showing houses, you definitely want to tell your client, hey, I'll meet you at the address, because when they're following you, a lot of times there's lights, there's stop signs, and sometimes traffic gets in the way. So like you don't want to lose your client, and they don't have the GPS up and ready, right? So what I'll do is before we go to the next property, I'll text them the address and say, hey, meet me at the property, right? And don't follow me, because if you follow me, you're not going to keep up.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
And going back to the traffic.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I will say, like, nothing compares to, you know, John had mentioned that we were in a band together. We were in a band for like a decade together, which was pretty cool.
Heavy metal. Raw.
What are they saying?
Oh, metal? Is it like Metallica?
Yes, Dad.
That's
like
all
Metallica.
Yeah.
When we were in the band, man, do you remember when we were in Los Angeles and our van broke down on like their main highway?
Dude, that was one time in my life I thought I was going to die.
Oh, and so many of the times where I thought I was going to die happened during the band days.
I know. I remember one time coming back from tour, and your mom was like, she was just crying.
Dude, she was sobbing when we got there.
Y'all made it. Y'all made it back.
And I thought she was being so dramatic. And like now, like that we're a little bit older, like you have a kid now.
Bro, if I had a kid and he went through what we went through, I would be the same way.
Yeah, I just remember feeling so helpless when we were broke down that highway, because the sun was setting, so it was like just getting dark enough that you couldn't really see like if someone was opening their door or whatever. And then like, I don't know, California people just seem to not give a damn that you were broken down and like just zooming past you, and we couldn't figure out how to start the car. That was absolutely insane.
I just remember the van breaking down in the middle of the highway, and cars are just zooming, zoom, zoom, zoom. And I put my head down because I think I feel like somebody's going to hit us from the back, right? So I put my head down, and everybody's like, we got to get this figured out. We got to get this figured out. Drew gets out of the car super quickly and then opens up the thing. He doesn't know what he's doing. None of us know what we're doing. And he's just like, ding, 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 ding.
He audibly said, I don't know what I'm doing. and he just starts hitting stuff, and boom, the van turned on.
The van turns on. and I think it was God. It had to be God.
Yeah.
But then not only that, remember when
It was the same trip.
same trip.
So
Our van went sideways.
no, what we would do is we would take about 4-hour shifts of driving. And so if you were driving, you would get, once you were done, you would go to the back and you'd have like 16 hours before it was your next turn to drive. And so after Drew's little, episode on the highway, it was my turn to drive. And we hit I-10.
You were driving.
I was driving.
Thank God you were driving.
Because I was the only one that knew what I think knew what to do, and that's because Mark Brown, my dad, the legend, he taught me kind of how to deal with weird scenarios with cars, and we were going 75 because that was the speed limit.
Dude, you used to book it though.
No, dude,
I don't think you're supposed to go 75 with a trailer.
Probably not in a turtle
like
top
55.
van, like a van you take your kids to Disney in.
Yeah.
And I just remember we were going 75 and. Oh my God, like all of our equipment was in the trailer and our tire blew up. And when I say it blew, like it wasn't like a gradually went flat. This thing exploded and sent us into we were swerving all over the place. And I just remember it was dead quiet in the van. Like all the noise was going on from like our equipment smashing in the back and stuff, and swerving. But no one made a sound because I think we just all collectively were like, okay, this is it. Like we're dead. And miraculously, nothing happened.
Man.
And then we got taken advantage of by the guy that came and took fixed our tire. But anyway, enough.
My crazy story is when I was 2 years old, I fell out of a 2-story building. Random, I know, but it happened.
And you lived it.
And I lived so many times throughout our life. There's been so many close calls, but we got through it. So,
yeah.
So we're here doing the Real Estate Virgins podcast.
Yep.
Because we got through it.
Couldn't take us out.
Yeah. So.
Well, awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get into real estate stuff.
All right,
how about it?
Yeah.
What are you seeing in the market right now?
Interest rates are all over the place, but for the most part, they've gone down recently.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing for buyers, but honestly, we're not seeing too much. I mean, in my opinion, I haven't seen too much movement for buyers.
I agree. I mean, we have our listing that we just put back on the market.
Mm-hmm.
We had a really great open house.
Yes.
But absolutely zero showings outside the open house.
Yeah.
And you had an agent on the same street call you and ask if you were getting any traffic because they're freaking out going, no one's looking over here either. So I think that just says right now is even though interest rates are kind of going down a little bit, maybe it's not enough. Maybe it's just holidays. There's a lot going on.
Holidays, buyer confidence. And that's just like goes back to how do we educate people and what's it called? Buy downs, right? 1-2 buy downs is a great option for lenders to do, which the first year, you've got, 2% off of the interest rate. The second year is 1% off the interest rate. And then the third year, it goes back to the normal interest rate. But hopefully within those 3 years, you can refinance. And a lot of lenders will actually give you a free refinance. So
yeah, lots of options out there. So
big shout out to Texas Loan Experts.
Yep.
They always do us good. So if you ever, if you're in the Texas area, definitely work with Texas Loan Experts.
I hadn't heard of a buy down before they suggested it.
Yeah.
So and it's really awesome. They were at our movers and shakers class and they were able to explain to the group what that actually looks like because a lot of people are out there saying the information like, oh, there's a 2-1 buy down available. But how does it work? No one knows the workings of it. Grace and Aaron did a really great job of explaining that to our group. Just another good reason to go to our events.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to our events. And oh, dang it. I forgot what I was going to say, but God dang it.
I'm sorry. I know. I did throw it in there. I know.
Something about Texas Loan Experts. They're just super creative. They've helped out a lot of our clients and
they've saved many transactions for me. They've gotten business from my client, for me. And when other people or other lenders don't show that love, they do. They always make us feel like a priority. Even though they're so busy. And that's the great part about it is when you have someone like that, it's like having an ace up your sleeve. Yeah.
They always answer the phone. Yeah. And client experience is actually the most important part, right? And all of my clients have a great experience, and that's just as good as a referral or a testimonial. But speaking of our house, shifting subject a little bit. Speaking of our house that we had an open house, and we had 4 showings during the open house. A few things that Diane she put outside. She did other stuff, but and she's awesome at open houses, by the way. One thing that I think really helped us is staging.
Yeah. I had never used staging before in a vacant property. And I think what really worked for us is when we originally had this house up, people had some questions about like maybe how a certain room was going to be used or like what a space between the vanities could look like. And so when you stage it, you're answering a lot of questions or you're putting one spin on what it could be.
Yeah.
And I think it takes some of the guessing game out of the buyer's, the buyer's mind. Cause I don't like when I walked through our house, I didn't think it was that confusing, but then again, like other people would give feedback and they're like, oh, we don't really know what this room is. Or, and so when you can answer those questions through staging, it's a relatively cheap option that could make the difference in you getting an offer or not.
Yeah. And I know there was a survey done that apparently you get paid more. You get better offers when the house is staged.
Yeah.
So I don't remember the percentage, but I know that you definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's also like if you tastefully stage it, because there's bad staging too. Like if you need to get a company to do it for you, or if you have if you think you have a creative eye, then maybe take a poke at it. But if it's not your forte, that's okay. Hire an expert. They have relatively affordable options to stage a home.
Yep. So that's one way that we're seeing houses starting to sell is just stage the house, maybe get new pictures. But like, what happens if it doesn't sell?
Well, yeah, there's a good question there. And a lot of people are probably in that position where if you're pressed for time, maybe it's time to look at like maybe selling to an iBuyer. Open Door. I know. I hate even mentioning them, but
I mean, is it that? But the thing is it's an option, right?
It is an option. If you have no other offers on the table, no interest, and it's absolutely stagnant, and your people need to make a move very quickly, or within some kind of time parameter, and they're being pressed for it, Open Door is an option. They still have. I think they're the only people that have an iBuyer program left.
Yeah. And it's funny because back when the market was absolutely insane, all of these iBuyers came out of the woodworks and were just like buying all these houses, buying them. And they had a little bit of success for about maybe a year, maybe.
Yeah.
And then out of, once the interest rates rose, like they all went to
once it wasn't absolutely a slam dunk for them, they all got out.
Yeah. And and the thing is Open Doors. They are struggling.
Yeah, because I remember, so I have a new listing and Open Door I just wanted to see what they were going to offer, right? So I've been keeping tabs. We've been trying to get this property ready to go for the last couple of weeks. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, whenever I was doing my CMA for them, I ran it through Open Door and they were going to give us an offer between, 380 and 408 was their range, right? Not too bad for this house. I went back a couple of days ago, maybe 2 days ago. In that same house, within 2 weeks, they've dropped their offer $50,000. Wow. I know. So it's not the best option right now, but if we had absolutely no other option, it's good to know that, they're still doing it, still there. But just be smart because they're adjusting to the market as well.
Yeah. So this is a listing of yours?
Yes.
How did you get that listing?
So this listing is actually for the admin of my local community. So
you mean Facebook group?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So she runs the Facebook group. I know her. I'm a strong presence within our Facebook community, and I think that keeps me top of mind. There's tons of realtors within the group. Not many of them provide a lot of value as far as information or engagement within the community. So I think that helped me stand out. And
yeah, that's awesome because Facebook groups, I don't know if you guys know, the listeners know, but we actually are very heavy on Facebook groups because one, they help build credibility if you're constantly active within the community. Two, it builds you're the authority figure when you are the admin as well, or you're super active. And three, you have the ability to schedule events and stuff like that. And then also it starts getting referrals, and referrals are super important, right? I mean, has she sent you any referrals yet?
She has. So
Really?
I actually got a referral. My biggest listing to date was a referral from her, and it was in a different group.
How important are referrals?
Referrals, amazing. I mean, you're talking agent to agent referrals, your client referrals. There's just so many options for it, and it opens up a whole new opportunity for you. And that's why, again, like we harp on follow up so much.
Yeah.
Stay relevant in your customers' lives. Sorry, clients' lives.
Yeah.
But stay relevant to them. Check in on them. Provide value. How's your house going? Like if you ghost them, they're not going to remember you.
Yeah.
Because everything is, everyone's fighting for your attention. So
Everybody is. There's a million advertisements, and the thing is, how do you get creative? I mean, when it comes to referrals are the best lead source. They are the top. Referrals are the top, right? And so, and why is that? Is because you're leveraging other people's influence and their opinion of you, and basically saying, hey, you've got to work with John, you got to work with Jordan because they did an amazing job for me, or because they're very active within our community. And the power of someone else telling them that you're the person to work with, it just makes communication a million times better because they trust that other person.
yeah, and they take it a lot more serious. They take that recommendation more seriously. If you have, this product or this service and you come across their website, right, and it's 5-star reviews everywhere. I don't know about you, but even like Amazon products, I sit there and go, is this really a 5-star product?
That's so true.
But if John bought something and says, dude, this product was amazing, I highly recommend it. It did this for me, I'm probably going to buy it.
Yep.
And it's the same exact thing in your business.
Now, this is a different perspective, but the law of reciprocity says that the more you give, the more you get. So one way to get amazing referrals is to give a lot of referrals.
Oh, yeah.
Because the more you give, the more you get. So one thing that I've actually done in my business is like, how do I find business for other people? Because for some reason, it like, oh, you know what? I got to start thinking about people for John to send him referrals. You know what I mean? So that's helped me a lot. I've gotten like 5 or 6 referrals this past year just because I was giving referrals out as well.
Yeah, take that initiative, like open that relationship with your local business owners and your friends who own businesses. Like support each other. It's so simple, but yeah, I mean, refer a business and it's going to come back to you.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, it's the slow game, I will say. It's not instant cash in your pocket. But over a long period of time, I know I keep saying this, it's important. It's just like the snowball effect. You start giving out one referral and you'll get one referral back,
Yeah. Go into it with a good heart too. Don't do it because you're expecting a referral.
100%.
Like it's hard because, sometimes you feel like you're giving out all these recommendations and this, I'm trying to help this person, and then maybe they don't do it back to you. As long as you're doing it with a good heart, don't make that your focus.
And going back to the winner's mentality, I think winners have a servant's heart, and they give without expecting a return, and just knowing that eventually it's going to pay off.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of, building your network, we're talking a lot about like how to influence other people. Talk about why it's so important to take time building rapport with clients.
Okay. There was a survey that happened with I think the CIA or FBI a couple of years ago, or no, maybe recently. And basically they were studying hostage takers, right? And they were trying to figure out like, how do we get people to give us the hostage quicker? And so what they noticed is that there was only a 3% difference if they reached their demands, right? 3% difference of whether they're going to let go of the hostage.
It's not very high.
That's not high, right? But there was a 2,000% difference if the hostage taker was felt like he was understood, and they understood why he was taking the hostage, right? There was a 2,000% difference of letting go of that hostage just by making the hostage taker feel understood, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge difference. So building rapport with clients is so important because you want to make sure that they feel understood, that they feel heard, that they're appreciated. And so that's the importance of building rapport.
Yeah, I feel like I look back on the beginning of my career where maybe I wasn't so confident or I didn't know exactly what I was doing, and the opportunities I missed and the business I didn't get for listings. I feel like this is so pertinent and so important, and that's probably why I didn't get the business. Is I either didn't ask enough questions about, hey, like tell me what your goal was selling this house is. That's such a basic starter question, but if you don't know to ask it, it kind of slips your mind.
Yeah.
And I always start that now. Like whenever I'm sitting down with them, one of the first things when we start talking about the actual selling of the house is, what is your goal with selling this property?
Yeah.
Because then you're finding out, do they need this to purchase another property? Is there like a complicated situation that they need your help and your expertise in that you can say, I'm your guy?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's a big difference between people that can communicate effectively and people that cannot communicate effectively. And even if both people are extremely motivated and both people are extremely perseverant, if they cannot communicate well, then they are not going to close deals.
And your clients are going to pick up on that. Like the way you communicate with them in that initial meeting, we're talking like especially about new clients right now who don't know you don't have that rapport with. If you can't build rapport with them and you can't communicate effectively with them in that meeting, they're not going to trust you to communicate in a negotiation or with the other agent, with the other, clients. And
I say this with hesitancy because at the beginning of my career, I did sort of fake it till I made it. I'm not going to lie, but clients do pick up on bullshit.
Yeah.
And so you have to tread that line carefully with, do you actually know what you're talking about? And if you don't know what you're talking about, I would highly suggest you not just make up bullshit.
It's okay to tell someone you don't know.
Yeah.
And I remember you doing that with me is if you didn't know something to a question I asked, you said, I don't know offhand. Let me find out and I'll get right back to you.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah.
They're going to respect that so much more than if you lie to them or if you BS them and they find out later.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. It's just so important, man. So 2023 is coming up.
Yeah, this is probably the last week, at least before Christmas. So this is gonna be the last pod before Christmas, and then New Year's here, and then all of a sudden, all that time that people have been putting off and taking vacations and time off, that's done. It's time to get down to business again.
Yeah. And even though they were taking vacations, we were still going hard.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been putting out content. We've been scheming and planning and events and all sorts of stuff. So we're ready to dominate 2023. And speaking of, what's your master plan for dominating 2023?
When everyone else is puckering up, we are going hard, right? When everybody else is getting conservative, we're pushing even harder, right? And that's just our opportunity to take the market and control the market. And so, and that's another thing is like being good leaders within our community is taking control when no one else will, because they are scared.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of uncertainty. But if we have the confidence and move forward no matter what anyone else is doing, then we're going to dominate in 2023.
Yeah, I know that you just mentioned being a good leader. What does that look like to you?
Being a good leader is, as cliche as it sounds, leading by example, being able to convey a vision to your team and being clear on that vision, having a servant's heart, giving as much as possible.
I feel like you have to be really creative to be a leader, especially these days, because I'm not a very creative person. So I look to people like you in my life, like you're one of my influences. It's pretty cool that, my best friend is someone that I look up to from a business perspective as well.
Well, I will say we both have strengths, right? Like my weakness is organization, while that is your strength, right? and my strength is creativity, and maybe I can help you with that.
Yeah.
So.
And so I look, as far as for a leader that I look up to, it's someone that can get out of maybe a creative rut or shake things up and get out of the norm. Like we're always trying to push ourselves to find different ways to give back. We're trying to find different ways to communicate to our clients. And, just like the little things like sending a video message. Oh. I don't know many people that do that. And I just did a few of them the other day. And that's so different. You receive a video message instead of a text and you're like, what is this?
I know.
It just kind of makes you go, huh.
You remember when you helped me with that video message to invite people to our Christmas party?
Yeah.
So many people showed up to our Christmas party that received that video message. And what's funny is I was sort of surprised on how many people showed up. Next year, we're going to go even harder. We're going to have a dance floor. We're going to have a live performance as well. And maybe even some fire dancers. That'd be cool. But yeah, so people showed up, and that brings it back to just building a reputation of credibility. So, yeah,
I like it. I'd mentioned that you're not to boost you up too much, that you were one of my influences. Who are some people that influence you?
Ooh, who are people that influence me? Ed Milet. he's a inspirational business leader as well. He's in Arete Syndicate. He's somebody I really look up to because he's just so full of amazing leadership.
He's a powerful speaker.
Yeah. Full of amazing knowledge. Who else? Just some of my mentors in my life. I'm just constantly trying to soak up knowledge as much as possible. Never stop learning. Like you said earlier, never stop learning. I had a kid's pastor when I was young, and we still stay in contact. And he, I'll go into this. So when I was about 8 or 9 years old, my parents were fighting for some reason. It was probably over money. And I remember for some reason, somebody came to our door. They knocked on our door, and they brought food for us. And it was Church's Chicken. And for some reason, when they brought food to, they were at my trailer. And for some reason, when they brought food to me, it really made a big impact on me because they didn't know, we potentially didn't have food to eat, Right. And so that was a big influential point in my life because now I remember that time, and it's like, how do we give? How do we become those people, And
I bet that had a lasting effect on you to want to give back to other people.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the freeze happened was it last February? Yeah.
Was it last or the February?
It's coming up on 2 years. Yeah. This February will be 2 years ago. The great freeze that happened in Austin, the Austin area, Central Texas, was just devastating. Like, we're not prepared for a freeze. This was like a 1 in every 100 year kind of storm. And I remember you took action. You didn't stand by and think about your own circumstance. It was, how can I help others? Yeah. And you gave out, how many hot meals did you give out to
I think it was like 850, 900, something like that.
Yeah. This is incredible. And I remember we sat down, and I wasn't on your team yet. And we had sat down, we were grabbing coffee, and you were telling me about like your big vision for Impact Property Group and like what your route was. And it was so convicting to me that like I could tell that, your heart was in it to give back. Yeah. And you took action. It wasn't just, oh, well, I could have done this. Yeah. You like actually did it. And that
it was so cool that so many people came together to make that happen too. Like, it's just on a whim.
Yeah. You got a lot of like people to donate, time and efforts or money to help make that happen. And the fact that you organized it and you took action just stuck with me. And I know that your story about them helping you when you didn't know, or they didn't know that you needed it, is partially why you did that. It stuck with you. You remember how it made you feel, and you were able to provide that for other people. And I just think that's really awesome.
Yeah, it is. All right. So to get off of the sobby stories, oh man, something really cool happened This is like a game changer in the real estate world. And I've been sharing it with everybody. And honestly, I sort of don't want to share it because it's such a big game changer. But AI, Web Chat PT, GPT, I think that's it. It's this program basically where you can write me a blog about anything, right? Real estate. Write me a blog about the importance of home ownership, or write me a Facebook post about motivating dads to become better dads. Like, you can literally write anything and it will create a original piece of content for you in like 10 seconds.
It was insane to watch. Like, you sent me a video of it because I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty much like a tech noob when it comes to stuff like AI, and like I've heard of it, but I don't really know what its practicality is. And to see you type me a Facebook post about motivation, and literally like 10-15 seconds later there was this long post about in a really good post too. That was the other part, is like, it was like, wow, like a poet or something wrote this. And so yeah, that is going to be an absolute game changer. Like, I think it's going to make, I'm a little, I don't know, I don't want to sound like I'm scared of it, because I'm not. I worry about authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think that's my big concern with AI, is if everyone, before you had shown me that program, I'd never heard of it and I had never seen AI in use. And I feel like just between that and like AI generated art, I'm seeing it everywhere now. Everyone is now talking about AI art, AI, typing or whatever, topics, blogs, web pages, things like that.
Well, if you can't,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah. If you can't beat it, join it, right?
That is true.
So how do we get ahead of AI? I feel like one of these days there's going to be AI real estate agents, which sucks. Or what we could do is AI real estate processes, right? So maybe figuring out how we can get the client involved, and basically we start sending them homes, or we start showing them the process. Or what if AI could even schedule showings for us, based off of what the client likes and what their criteria is. Like,
I feel like AI is still in its infancy, and it's still already so impressive. Like it's scary impressive. And like I said, my only concern is I feel like there could come a point where when you look at someone's post, you're like, is this legit?
Oh man, I know.
That's my only concern, is like, are we going to lose the human touch, or the, everything spelled perfectly? Like, you can always tell when something's misspelled. You're like, oh yeah, they were typing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I totally agree. If you can't beat it, join it, or at least make it part of making your work a little bit easier, or make it work for you.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with it, but I'm going to absolutely explore it in 2023 for sure. So,
we're on a team. I think we've talked about teams before. But what are some, I got the question right here. What are the top 3 reasons why someone should join a team?
Let's bounce these answers off of each other.
Okay.
I'll give a reason, you tell me, and then we can discuss. I would say for me, it's the collaboration.
Ooh.
We talked about creativity and having like someone like me who isn't super creative. If I was by myself, I find that I would, groupthink would happen when you're just a solo agent, where you can't get past your own mind and you're limited to only what your creative thoughts are. And so when you have, like we have 4 people on our team plus an awesome assistant. So we're able to bounce ideas off each other and feed off it and build upon it. And all of a sudden if I throw out an idea and I start at, level 1, by the time 5 people have their input on it, it's 10 times better. So I think the collaboration that can come from it, the lack, or solving groupthink is big. That's one reason for me.
Yeah. The camaraderie is so important. That goes into the collaboration as well. And there's so many agents that just get into the business and they have no idea what's going on. And so being a part of a team and having those people accessible to asking those questions of, what do I do when the buyer goes under contract. I mean, how many days do we have to turn in the earnest and the option money? Like just random questions. There's going to be a million questions that you have, and being a part of a team can help that.
Yeah. Speaking of, sorry, side note here. I had a transaction where the other person thought that earnest and option was due 14 days past the dude, can't make it up. And I was like, okay, like this person needs a team. This person needs to like turn to someone and ask like these really basic questions.
Yeah.
So sorry, that was just a sidebar that immediately hit my head. I was
No,
like,
it's okay.
This person could use a team.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the importance of it. And there's a lot of people that are afraid to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And that is probably hurting your business if you do not ask questions.
I think teams take away that negative energy around asking questions, because everyone like you get to know each other really well. Like we get to know where we're at in our businesses, and everyone's just trying to help. And everything that we ask and that we say is from love and like trying to help improve people's business.
Yeah.
It's never like, what a dumb question.
Yeah.
Which you can feel like if you're in a classroom with a bunch of people and they're all individual agents and you have this really basic question, but you need the answer, you're going to be sitting there like, I don't want to ask this.
Yeah.
I don't want to look stupid. But if you're in a team, like it takes that negative pressure.
That's sort of how I felt when we started this 7-year-old basketball team. So Jordan and I coach a 7-year-old basketball team, and I had so many questions, and I felt like the dumbest person ever. Like one of the questions I had was, and I knew this, I don't know why I questioned myself, but I was like, is away dark colors or is home dark colors? Right. Because someone texted me the opposite of what it was. And I was like, hey, just check in. Is away dark colors? And, just questions like, hey, should we start doing plays? Or, I just had so many questions about it. And I asked those questions. I used to have an ego and not ask questions like that. But the sooner you ask those questions, the more efficient you'll become and the faster you'll be efficient.
The ego will you're only going to get in your own way.
Yeah.
Like you're going to learn so much more and you're going to benefit from it more than the embarrassment of asking the question. So just get over it.
Yep.
Dude, the 7 under basketball has been absolutely insane. I remember the first practice we got in the car and we were like, what the But now I can't imagine not coaching. Like it's kind of crazy. Yeah. Like you start learning the kids' names, they pass you and they're like, "Hey coach." And you're just like, "Oh, my heart."
I know. It's so cool to do. And so full transparency, we won our first game.
Should have won our second one too.
We should have won our second game.
That ref screwed us.
Yeah, the ref
took away like 6 of our points. Didn't take anything away from the other
I
team.
Know.
She must have had like a cousin or something on that team.
Yeah. So the second game we should have won. We didn't. But it's just it was like we were on the edge of our seats, like go.
We were in it. And don't let anyone tell you that these young kids don't have passion about something. Oh. Dude, I saw every time we would make a basket, this kid would be like, James, yes!
Dude, I love it, man. I love seeing that. That was so cool.
And they care about if they win or lose. Like they're very competitive and they got the passion for it. So it's pretty cool because obviously like we're not getting anything out of it other than like the experience and just being able to, again, part of our giving back. But it's so cool to see them all fired up about it.
That just goes to show, man, don't lose your passion.
Yeah.
Like that childish passion of wanting to succeed. I see it in our kids, and it's just so motivating, and it's so cool to see them like want to win,
Yeah. And it seems like as you get older and things happen and you get exposed to the world a little bit, you can easily lose your passion.
Yeah. You get jaded and don't let that affect you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, but
so like what keeps you going? Like I know like whether it's personal or even real estate can be hard a lot of times. Like what keeps you going?
What keeps me going is I remember where I came from, welfare kid, trailer trash. Kids used to make fun of me because of my big ears. I had big ears. And so I had zero confidence, and every single decision I make is to get farther and farther away from that. And so now I have a kid and I have a wife, and I want them to grow up. I want him to grow up, my kid to grow up never lacking, you know, and I want him to grow up with a positive atmosphere and to see his dad executing big goals because they learn from seeing what we do more than hearing what we tell them to do, you know? So, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know for me, it's about, I remember moving here in 2015 to the Austin area, and I had a great upbringing. My parents were super supportive. I've never lacked in that respect, but whenever it came to like a professional setting, I was really good in school, but I didn't have the drive to go out and get a bachelor's, a master's degree or anything like that. It's, continuing education was not really part of my my plan. And so I remember moving here without a job. We moved in, and I remember watching my bank account hit zero for the first time in my life. And I remember how low that felt. And I remember selling our band equipment and my bass, which was so important to me and cherished by me for so long, just so I could make rent. And I never wanted to feel that again. And it lights a fire under your ass to go out and do something. And aside from that, like as we grow, like obviously like I'm not in a band anymore. So like my priorities have changed, and I have a family now, like my wife and I, like I'm just thinking about our future, and I'm the person who can make a big difference in that. And so that pushes me every day to strive, be better, do more. And so that's what gets me. That's what gets me going.
Yeah. Ed Milet says every family has the one person that makes a difference, that changes the trajectory of their family. And that's who I want to be, So, yeah.
I think so far we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. Just keep being consistent, keep pushing no matter what, and you'll get there. I promise you will. Weekly challenge. Well,
with Christmas coming up, I would say, send people, let's go video messaging. Send like 10 people, 10 relatives, 10 friends, a video message wishing them a Merry Christmas.
Ooh, do it. Yeah.
And that we hope you're having a good holiday season, and let's hang out soon. Something like that.
The things you do right now, you will see results in January and February and March. So it's time to get to work.
Plant those seeds.
It's time to plant those seeds and push yourself to another level.
2023 is going to be a banger. I know we're going to have a bang in 2023, and we hope that you do too, but we can't do it for you. You got to go get it. Yeah. We're just trying to share the tips and tricks that we're doing that are going to help get us there.
Yeah.
We want to take you on the journey.
Yep. Yeah. Come along with us. You are invited. So, thank you guys so much for listening. We 100%, we're full of gratitude. And if you liked what you heard, please share it with a friend. Please share it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. And we just really appreciate you.
And leave us a review.
Leave us a review.
Thank y'all so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.